The file was sealed before I was born. That is the first thing I will tell you because it matters. No living archivist had ever opened it. It sat behind a lock notation I had not seen on any other record in 40 years of work. Not a security classification, not a political embargo, but something older. A single line stamped across the binding in the original curator's hand, ink pressed so hard it had embossed the material beneath. Do not unseal for academic inquiry. Unseal only if the signal is detected a third time. The signal was detected a third time 6 weeks ago, so I opened it. My name is Selin Drath. I'm the senior keeper of the contingency archive at the Hall of Recorded Ends on Voron Station, which is to say, I maintain the records nobody is supposed to need. Collapsed civilizations, extinct navigational corridors, species whose last living member filed a final census and then did not file another. The archive exists so that the galaxy does not repeat what it has already paid for. Most of the records in my care are dry. Most are very old. Most are not sealed with instructions like that. The Durath incident file is 1,100 pages. I read every one. What it contains is this. 43 years ago, two of the largest military powers in the Outer Meridian were at war. The Kessin hegemony and the Vorathi dominion had been contesting the same transit corridors for 6 years, and the war had grown expensive in ways that matter, not only in ships, but in the political will to continue. Both sides needed a decisive engagement. Both sides had exhausted the neutral buffer zones that the rest of the meridian would permit them to use. And so, according to the file, a Kessin strategist named Oru Valeth proposed a solution that his High Council described in their own internal record as *elegant*. The Palest margin, the outermost buffer zone before the boundary, the rest of the galaxy simply calls the human threshold, had been formally uncontested for over 2 centuries. No species patrolled it. No transit charter claimed it. The great powers of the inner reach had long ago agreed not to ask questions about what lay beyond it, and in exchange, nothing from beyond it had troubled them. Valeth's argument was clean. The margin was unclaimed. Bringing a war into unclaimed space broke no treaty, and since neither side was attacking the zone beyond, since both sides would simply be fighting each other inside the buffer, the ancient, unspoken compact with whatever held that deeper silence would not be violated. They were not going into human space. They were going near it. The Vorathi, reading the same maps and the same financial projections, agreed. 41 Kessin warships entered the margin from the northern approach on what the file calls Day 1. 37 Vorathi vessels entered from the southern approach on Day 3. Both fleets confirmed entry via beacon relay to their respective home commands. The beacons logged routine status, drives nominal, crew nominal, weapons armed, engagement imminent. The Kessin advanced screen and the Vorathi forward elements were, by the beacon data, approximately 9 hours from contact with each other. Day 4, the Kessin beacons transmitted a partial status pulse at the scheduled interval. 3 of the advanced screen ships did not report in. The pulse was flagged as a sensor anomaly and logged. The Kessin Home Command sent an inquiry. Day 5, no response to the inquiry. The main Kessin battle group reported all systems nominal. The Vorathi forward elements had not transmitted anything since Day 3's entry confirmation. Day 6, nothing from either fleet. Day 7, nothing. The file contains the Home Command's response logs in full. Both the hegemony and the Dominion assumed, at first, that the other side had found a way to jam their beacon relays. Both prepared rescue and retrieval plans. Both, over the following weeks, sent secondary probes into the margin's edge, not ships, just passive signal listeners, dropped at the boundary and left to record. The probes came back. They had recorded nothing. Not jamming static, not weapons discharge, not distress signals, not drive signatures, not the long thermal residue that a fleet engagement leaves in a corridor for months afterward. The margin, as far as the probes could determine, had been silent for the entire period. Clean silence. Not the silence of a void between transmissions, the silence of a place where the transmissions had stopped and something else had not replaced them. Both home commands filed their incident reports within days of each other. Neither was willing to send another fleet. Neither was willing to say publicly what the probes had told them. The war between the Kessin hegemony and the Vorathi dominion ended without a treaty. It simply stopped, the way a conversation stops when both speakers realize they have been discussing a door neither of them will open. The file might have ended there. I would have sealed it again and added it to the shelf of things the galaxy paid for without fully understanding what it had bought. But the original curator, whoever stamped that instruction across the binding, had included a supplement. A short one, 12 pages, filed separately, dated 3 months after both home commands submitted their incident reports. The supplement is about the signal. When the probes returned from the margin, they brought clean silence. That was not quite accurate. The probes had recorded nothing they were calibrated to expect. No fleet signatures, no battle residue, no beacons. But one probe, the Vorathi unit, dropped slightly closer to the inner edge of the margin than its Kessin counterpart, had recorded something it was not calibrated to expect at all. A signal, not a beacon format from either empire. Not a distress format from any species in the catalog. A narrow, patient, extremely low-power transmission, moving outward from the deep interior of the margin toward the boundary. Moving slowly, not in a hurry. The supplement's author analyzed the signal carefully enough to determine 3 things. First, it was not natural. It had structure repeating elements, a pattern that recurred at intervals too precise for any phenomenon the archive had on record. Second, it was not from the Kessin or the Vorathi. Every species that travels leaves a technical signature in the way it builds its communications, the frequencies it prefers, the error correction it uses without thinking. This signal matched nothing in the catalog. Third, at the rate it was traveling, it would reach the margin's outer boundary in approximately 40 years. The curator sealed the file and wrote the instruction: do not unseal for academic inquiry. Unseal only if the signal is detected a 3rd time. The first detection was the supplement itself, the probe's original recording, 43 years ago. The second detection was logged 21 years later by a meridian-wide deep listening installation that was cataloging background signals in the outer transit corridors. The signal had moved. It was closer to the boundary. The installation's duty officer noted it, flagged it as an anomaly of unknown origin, and filed a standard anomaly report. Nobody cross-referenced it to the sealed Durath incident file. Why would they? The file was sealed. Nobody knew what was in it. The third detection was 6 weeks ago. A border watchpost on the edge of the Palest margin, staffed, as most such posts are, with a small crew conducting routine signal sweeps, recorded the same transmission. Same structure, same precise repeating interval. The signal was at the boundary. The watchpost crew filed an anomaly report. A junior analyst in the regional relay office, running a cross-reference search on the signal's unusual frequency pattern, found the second detection in the archive. The second detection referenced a sealed file. The sealed file came to me. I have read 1,100 pages and 12 supplemental pages, and I have spent the past 6 weeks doing what the original curator could not. I have listened to the signal myself, in real time, as it sits at the edge of the margin and does not cross. It is there every time I check. Patient, narrow, low power, repeating. I do not know what it is. I have cross-referenced it against every signal type in this archive and every deep space phenomenon catalog the Hall of Recorded Ends maintains, and I have found no match. I cannot determine whether it is a communication, a warning, a marker, or something that has no word in any language I can read. What I can tell you is what I know, which is this. 2 empires sent a combined 78 warships into the Palest margin 43 years ago. They did not come back, and they left no wreckage the probes could find, and the only thing that came out of the margin afterward was a signal that did not belong to either of them. That signal has been moving steadily toward the boundary for 4 decades. It is now at the boundary. I have filed my analysis. I have recommended that the Meridian's border authorities be notified. I have recommended that no vessel enter the margin for any reason, and that the watchpost crew be relocated to a station further from the edge. My recommendations are under review. In the meantime, I keep the file open on my desk. I check the signal every morning. It is still there. It has not crossed the boundary. It has not stopped transmitting. I am not certain those two things will remain true together for much longer. I am not certain what happens when they stop being true. That uncertainty is the only honest thing I have left to offer. The rest, as the original curator understood, is a question no one in this archive has authority to answer.